Hey, church, happy Friday. I am just sitting in the office doing a little bit of thinking about a message coming up. And in my Bible reading this week, I came across Psalm chapter 73, verse 28, and I want to read it to you. It says, But as for me, how good it is to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my shelter, and I will tell everyone about the wonderful things you do. I was kind of thinking about that in context of all that's been going on with me, but also all that's been going on in the world. You know, and that first phrase, he says, "But for me, how good it is to be near God." Sometimes when tough things happen, we go through 18 months or so of a pandemic. Heightened political issues, maybe all sorts of just disagreements with people we know and love, or people we know and don't love, or maybe it's our own health. How often, sometimes those situations, we get so busy, so focused on finding the answer, finding truth, or wanting to be right, that we don't go near to God. And then the next thing he says, I have made the sovereign Lord my shelter. A lot of times I like to make my own truth my shelter, or the fact that I was right. That's my shelter. Or the fact that, that person got what they deserve. That's my shelter. Justice was served. That's my shelter. And the fact that they know that they were wrong. That's my shelter. But here the psalmist says that I have made the sovereign Lord my shelter. That tells me that, there's times when I don't need to be right. I don't need to prove my way. I don't need to be the one that gets his way all the time if God is my shelter. He's the one that's in control. In a world where there's so much polar opposites anymore, I think we need to rest in that a little bit, that God's our shelter. And then look what he says. So when we draw near to God and we've made the sovereign Lord our shelter, look what he says. He says, I will tell everyone about the wonderful things you do. So when we draw near to God and we make him our shelter, he says, God does wonderful things. And I'm going to tell him about him. That God's given me a mission, a purpose. And I'm seeing him come through. I'm seeing him restore lives. I'm seeing him change hearts. I'm seeing him do all these wonderful things. And I can't help but tell others about all the wonderful things that God's doing. To me, that gives me hope. In a tumultuous time where there's health scares, where there's all sorts of anger and hatred and all sorts of just unrest, when we find to draw near to God and find rest in his shelter, God's going to do wonderful things, and we just simply tell about his wonderful things. So I want you to be encouraged today. Draw near to God, find shelter in him, and he'll give you a purpose. That purpose is to share the good news. So look forward to seeing you, and we will hopefully talk to you real soon. All right, bye-bye.